Good afternoon and good evening, my wonderful creative writing students. So you are going to be writing a character story, and I just want to go over some quick and dirty things about how to create characters because the point of your stories is focusing on very sorry, on very specific things. So for creating characters, I want to talk about characters versus real life human beings. And the question that you should ask yourself is how do you create a character? Because you see them all the time in writing and movies and TV shows, but how do these things happen? So, understanding a character is no different than being able to understand yourself and other people. So, you have to spend time with the character you're creating and you have to understand them. You're maybe creating a character and you may have an entire backstory that will never get used, but knowing that will help you in writing a good character and working on character development. So there are three ways that you're going to do this. You're going to look at physical trait descriptions. Sorry for that typo there. Dialogue and interaction with other characters. So let's talk first about physical trait descriptions. The first things that you need to consider are things like background, both ethnic and social class background, hair, eye, and skin color, because those can play into things. The size of the person, height, weight, those play into how the character is written and what they may be like, as well as their age and their clothing choices. Now, you may sit here and think, Miss Cravens, this makes no sense. That's stupid. Why would these things be important? But they are in being able to write and create well-rounded characters. And these are things that you should need to know because they will determine how your characters act. Sorry about that. And react in situations. So focus on those. These are things that may never come out in the story or may not be important, but you need to know them to be able to create your character. Then you need to look at dialogue. And dialogue is something that is also very important. We've talked about it. You wrote a story that focused on dialogue, but dialogue factors into how a character is written as well, because you need to look at how they speak, and those things depend on different factors. Where they live, so northern versus southern dialogue, UK versus American dialogue, that kind of thing differs. The time period in which they live, modern slang is much more different than 1920s slang. And their age. Age is also a factor. I want your focus on this character story to potentially focus on a character around your age, but age depends on how they talk. And these are things that you can show through dialogue. So keep those things in mind. There are going to be common rules that exist with dialogue. I'll have a different video on that though, and you guys have already seen it. So just the conventional rules. And then you need to look at how they interact with other characters because interaction dictates how people are and who they are. So how the protagonist or your narrator behaves towards other people, including how people treat your narrator. So you can look at what all the characters say to one another and how they say it. And that's one thing that you need to keep in mind when writing are those little descriptive factors in dialogue to understand how people say things, because you can say very different things on tone, and that needs to be shown in your writing. How they treat each other physically, whether it's gentle or rude or brusque, those are things to look into, as well as how they interact emotionally. So keep these three things in mind when you're creating your characters and when you're thinking about the character development. Is something going to change? Is part of this a factor that will change your character, that will tie into your character development? Look at these things, and I totally look forward to reading these stories with you guys. See you later. Bye.